Hey skaters out there, Sizzix here. I'm going to be showing you how I make my thermoformed and UHMWPE slide pucks. The first thing we do, which I did a few days ago before I made the mold for thermoforming, was cut the UHMWPE into usable pieces that are the outer dimension of the puck. From there, you go over to the bandsaw. I wish I had a router, but I don't, but this works just fine. Set the fence up. I put a little board in there with a gap to get the puck pretty close to the blade, so you only take a portion of the edge off. Then we go over to the belt sander to even out the edge a little bit and round the corners. And then lastly, sand down all the stringy bits that come off with sandpaper. It's very stringy when you sand it. Well, it's not very, very stringy, but it's fairly stringy. It doesn't really like to be sanded because it's so abrasion resistant. And the stringy bits are because the molecules of it are so long. But we'll get into that when we go to thermoforming in a few minutes. Okay, Sizzix back here again. Over here at the beer stove. And we got the pucks in the oven. And first I want to explain, what's happening with the UHMWPE before I work on it. And I'm sorry I can't show you guys me actually doing the actual work. You're just going to kind of have to imagine what's happening in between the steps, because I can't really hold my iPhone with one hand and cut while talking. And I don't like the idea of talking while I'm cutting at the same time. It's a little dangerous to be distracted when you're working with power tools. Stay safe. So here we have a bundle of string, and this is kind of what UHMW looks like up close. The difference between UHMW and cutting board, or HDPE, is the chain length. So the polyethylene monomer, I think it would be called, chain lengths are up to 250,000 polyethylene molecules long. Polyethylene has a carbon molecule in the middle, and I believe 2 hydrogens on the end. And in the chain, the one's this way, and the next one's mirrored on the other side. And they alternate like this for 250,000. And when the high density polyethylene is about 8,000 long, so it's significantly longer, and its molecular weight is per molecule, and that's why it's called that, is because per molecule weight is very high. So when you look at what happens with the UHMW chains when they're at regular working temperature, is the chains in a way are kind of twisted up like this, and you'll get these groups, and they don't look quite like this. They look more like a ribbon folded, but as the molecules of the polyethylene heat up, I think the electron spin changes, and they actually untwist the chain, much like it's twisted like this. It just shapes differently, but the concept is the same. And so when it heats up, it untwists, and you end up with a ball that, instead of having these clumps that kind of fit together and block movement, you have kind of an amorphous chain, or the clumps are allowed to detangle and change shape. Additionally, one thing that's kind of interesting is they actually turn, I'm going to put my glove on, clear when they get to temperature. I'll show you that right now. You can see this one right there in the corner is just barely changing color, or to translucent, and they become kind of floppy, right, like rubber. And I can't get them off right now because you need both hands in order to remove them, but that's what they look like. They feel like a really soft polyurethane block. Then we take them out, put them in this little mold here, drop this block on top, and clamp the whole thing down like so, and then wait about a minute, and then it cools down, and then rinse, repeat. Well, that's about it. Okay, so I've made a couple changes to how the puck is held in. I added a couple screws to the block I did that on the first one and it worked better. I tried not using them on the second. I like this a little better. And then I have some aluminum foil in there to help the puck slide around and center itself up so it's not so difficult to get it perfect in there. And then I'm also adding water to get the cycle time down, get the puck to cool down more quickly. There you can see it kind of tucked away in there. Alright. Okay, here we have the finished pucks. They all turned out pretty well. Nice and uniform, they all fit together and look pretty much exactly the same. The bottom half of the pattern did break apart on like the fourth one. It's alright, I just clamped it together with some big bar clamps and it looked perfect when it was done. Maybe I'll just epoxy it back together. It worked just fine, clamped together. Did experience some discoloration or oxidation on the bottom from where it was an electric oven, so there's some radiant heat coming off of it, which was absorbed by the baking tray and caused more heat on the bottom. I was able to sand right through it after a few minutes. You know, no material really seemed like it was coming off. It's a very thin layer, shouldn't really hurt the integrity of the puck. Now to talk about the puck shape, you can see we got a nice curve on that side, a U shape here, and those are designed to match the curve of your wrist and then the curve of your palm, as you can see right there. It helps make sure, I've noticed with lots of people's gloves, the Velcro starts to come unadhered at this section where it wants to bend away from your hand. And, you know, this bottom curve helps it stay really stable in your hand. I mean, even like this, it's sticking to my hand because of the curves in this section. Feels great. For those, most people probably haven't used a curved puck. I guess Timeship has a curved puck. It looks quite a bit different than this. It's hourglass shape. I think it fits a little higher up on the wrist. Not really sure though. I'm going to put the glove on so I can talk about how the curve provides a bit of an advantage, I feel. Now with a flat puck, or even just a beveled puck, lots of times you'll come down, and it'll kind of rock on those beveled edges most people put on, or filleted edges, but usually the transition's not very smooth and you end up slapping down on it a little bit. A curved puck is really nice because it lets, as you come down, it lets you use some of your wrist strength as you come down and give you a nice clean transition when you're sliding to put your weight on your puck. I mean, I'm sure some of you have experienced it where you go to do a toe side, like a toe side standee, and you kind of lean into it too hard and you just slap down really hard and it kind of hurts your elbow. This helps, you know, mediate that a little bit. It doesn't get rid of it, but definitely feels a lot better. The curves on the bottom also help it go over manholes a little bit, aside from the radiusing on the actual shape of the puck. Those edges help it get a little taller and slide over manholes. I don't know if anybody's caught their puck on a manhole, but it really sucks. Kind of yanks you around quite a bit. Yeah, so good little trial run, I think. Not really too many problems, nothing too bad, nothing caught on fire or anything like that, so turned out well. This is Sizzix, and alright, have a spread the stoke.